What's up, everybody? Welcome into Believe in Kentucky on the Believe Podcast Network. We are live on YouTube and Facebook, and follow us and rate and review and all that good stuff. Alongside Cole Park from the Cat's Paws. My name is Vinny Hardy. Cole, man, we still just trying to inch our way to real games, man, week by week.
We are getting there, closer, 1 week closer, but still multiple Saturdays to go.
That's it. And we got some, of course, football stuff to talk about, fall camp and coordinators and players and some off the field stuff for the Cats for making news. So we got some summer content and we have a guest backstage that you know well. So I'll let you introduce who will be joining us to chop it up about all things UK this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, my first episode, I got to introduce myself, my background. And I said there that before I started with the Cat's Paws, I was with the Kentucky Kernel, Kentucky's student newspaper, for 4 years as an editor. And I got to meet some wonderful, wonderful people doing that job, Got to meet some not so wonderful people too, but that's all part of life, right? But I got to meet some wonderful, journalists that I think are going to go very, very far in this world. And I got to be an editor to several of them. And one of those people is who we have here. So we got Jenna Lifshen. She'll be the assistant sports editor for the Kentucky Kernel this fall. And she also will be heading a lot of the Kernel's football coverage this fall. She did some fantastic stuff with women's basketball. She's worked a lot with swim and dive before, but very, very talented reporter who I think has a very bright future and a good friend of mine as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the intro. That was very nice of you. And thank you both for having me on today. I'm excited.
Yeah. Nice to actually talk with you. We follow each other on Twitter. I see all your content. So appreciate you taking the time to hop on here and talk with us. It's cool to have you.
Of course.
So like Cole said, he introduced himself. And so tell as much or as little as you want to tell the listeners about Jenna Lifshen.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Austin, Texas. I'm here right now. I haven't moved back to school just yet, but grew up a Texas Longhorns fan. Still am to this day. I played soccer my whole life. I really have loved sports forever. Decided to come to Kentucky to study sports journalism. And like Cole said, I spent my freshman year with the Kentucky Kernel writing for Kentucky Swim and Dive. And this past season, I got to cover women's basketball, which was super fun and I enjoyed it a lot. But this upcoming season, obviously, I'll be doing football and men's basketball. So I'm super excited for that as well.
That's awesome. So what's the must-see, check out thing in Austin? If you're there, you got to do this. You've been a local and a native and all.
Man, there's a lot. That's kind of the thing about Austin is there's still things I haven't done because there's just so much to do.
Wow.
Barton Springs is a really fun place. ACL, which is a music festival that we have, is extremely fun. But honestly, just the Tex-Mex here. Every time I'm at school, that's what I miss more than anything. It's just some really good Tex-Mex, and the second I get home, that's all I eat pretty much. But definitely the food. We have very good food here. And obviously, you got to go see some Texas football.
Yeah, what you should not do visiting Austin is go watch Kentucky in the Moody Center absolutely crumble in the last 5 minutes to lose a game.
No, maybe not that. Or maybe not Kentucky football at Texas either.
Maybe not, but Colton's transmission gave out before we could even get there that time. So 15 and a half hours to watch him lose in basketball versus 4.5 hours to literally lose Colton's car. Irreparable. He had to get a new one. And not even get to go. So my time with Austin has not been kind to me.
Yeah, it's a lot easier when you're not driving, but I have to do the 21-hour drive 2 days in 2 days.
How do you make that drive 21 hours? I did in 15 and a half.
Well, because I have a U-Haul, so I can't drive fast or my car's going to explode.
That'll do it every time, though. U-Haul will increase your drive time for sure. Yeah. Well, the Longhorns do come to Lexington here this year, so you got some friends, family gonna make the trip for that game.
Both my parents are coming up, and I believe my sister, and then a majority of my friends go to Texas, so a couple of them are coming to stay with me. It'll be super fun. Don't know if it'll be a fun watch as a Kentucky fan, but we'll see.
Nice little segue there since we want to probably talk football first. So, uh, lots of content, lots of interviews, and all that good stuff for you guys this week. Anything standing out as we inch our way to August 30th?
Yeah, I mean, today we went out there to the practice fields, got offense and defense. We got to talk to offensive coordinator Bush Hamden, defensive coordinator Brad White, and a few players. I got a couple of those guys that we spoke to, including one that we'll talk about a little bit later for a viral moment there. But I think the first thing, really closing the door on last weekend. I wrote a story today for the Cat's Paws about what both OC and DC, Hamden and White had to say about the scrimmage last Saturday. We got to talk to Stoops, Zach Calzada, JQ Hardaway right after that, but we kind of had to wait a little bit to talk to the coordinators and get their thoughts on how that scrimmage went for Kentucky. In that story I kind of wrote about, they both seemed like they learned a lot of what they need to work on, but remained confident in kind of the process and what they need to do going forward. For offense, it was Hamden was really hammering home that conditioning, getting them in shape. He said, we're working on game scenarios. So we're not letting them go out there for a few reps. We're having those 12 play drives and making sure that they're able to do that because they're going to have to do that. And, learning to get used to having the 40-second clock out there, having the coach's comm shut off at 15 seconds. You can't talk to your players anymore. So, they were calling penalties too in that scrimmage. So they really got to learn a lot about where they're at there. He seemed pretty overall positive, but understanding that there's a lot to work on. White, if you ever heard Brad White, how he talks. He talks a lot about really big emphasis on humbling experiences, getting those players knocked down a peg, talked about these guys who might come in here thinking it's all going to be well, and then kind of realizing, oh, this is bigger than I thought it was. I'm going to have to really work for it. He said, anytime you come off of a break, you're going to expect, I don't know what she's doing back there. Anytime you come off a break, you're going to expect tackling to be a little bit rough. So they had a little bit of tackling issues early on. That was something that Stoops kind of hammered home. JQ said a little bit in his presser, they got to work on tackling a bit better. But overall, said it just takes time, and you got to just kind of get these players to buy into the process, to trust the process, and see where things can go from there.
What about you? What's your thoughts, Jim? Anything stand out or noteworthy to you?
I think, kind of going off what Cole said, there's just a lot of, they know what they need to fix, but now it's a question of, do they have enough time to fix it before season starts? Opening with Toledo is not easy. I think everyone knows that this isn't like a gimme game by any means. So, while they're talking about, we know what we need to change, we know what we need to improve on. It's also a question of, do we have enough time to change those things enough to where we can not only play Toledo, but then a week later play Ole Miss, where then you're suddenly, in an SEC game where it gets a lot more challenging. But I think it's really good. The mentality seems to be a lot better in getting these players to really understand kind of where they are. And when he, was talking about, you have these players coming in who were maybe the best in their state or the best in their city, or, a top ranked player, that high school and college are completely different. And when you get there, suddenly everyone else around you is also the best from their state or the best from their city, or broke a bunch of these records. And that you kind of have to level yourself on the same field as them because, you're all on the same team now. You're all at the same level. So it really doesn't matter where you were before then. It kind of matters where you are now. I do think that they seem very confident in, like Cole was saying, the process and kind of working through the things that haven't been working. But like I said, it's just a question of, is there enough time to do that before, you're in a situation where, we're a couple games into the season and we still look discombobulated or kind of unsure of who goes where and when.
If y'all had to guess, you mentioned the 40-second clock and getting all that realism, getting used to it as much as you can and as quickly as possible between now and, August 30th. How many seconds do y'all think we'll see on the clock when the ball is snapped on average, if you had to guess? What do you think this pace of play tempo will be if let's just throw it out there and guess.
I'm gonna guess fans should expect, just my personal prediction, I think that they're going to run a fair amount of that clock off there. I don't know that you'll see as much fast. I think there will certainly still be a time for that, rapid fire offense. But I just think generally, I tend to expect Kentucky to kind of try to be more methodical. That was something that Hamden kind of talked about a little bit there. Stoops had touched on back on Saturday after the scrimmage. He talked about working on those short yardage scenarios, and in his explanation of that, Hamden talked about simplifying the game plan a little bit for year 2 as opposed to year 1, really honing in on the fundamentals, really honing in on what works, and that making sure that Kentucky doesn't just have a bunch of different things that could work, but has a few things, bam, 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 they know for sure can work from repetition. And that, we've talked about that on this show before, Vinny, with the Lynn Bowden years, where it felt like there were times where everyone knew what Kentucky was going to do, and they still did it. And it seemed like that was kind of what he was talking about there, making sure that Kentucky has what it knows for a fact will work, that it knows its old bread and butter that it can go to over and over again and know that it can execute, as opposed to, just having a bunch of different stuff and trying to throw something out there. So I would expect them to be very methodical, really focus on the fundamentals of their offense and really focus on just prioritizing what they know they can do and not trying to get, too fancy with it.
Yeah, I was going to say probably taking it down like 10 seconds average is kind of what I was thinking. And I do agree with Cole that it's kind of, with a team that's younger, it's more important that they focus on a few things and get those 100% right than try to get in all these fancy plays that might work, 25% of the time, but the rest of the time it just throws everybody off. When you look at the NFL, like the tush push, right? Like they do it every time because they know it works. And it doesn't matter. No one can stop it. So why are they going to stop doing it and try to do something else? Like if something works, it works. Yeah. And I think with a younger team, that's what's really key is when you find those things at work, that's what you really focus on to, gain confidence and consistency. And then as you, start to really understand those, then you can start adding in more plays that maybe are a little more fancy or complex. But, just finding those key plays and those key movements that will work and honing in on those is really important for a younger team.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you can make the kind of case that like an immediate rebuttal to what I'm about to say would be, well, the defense gets the same amount of time to do the same thing. But I feel like if you're in a position where you trust your coaches and you trust your scouts, you have 40 seconds to snap the ball. The coach comm doesn't shut off until 15 seconds. Why would you not try to at least get to that 15-second mark? Mm-hmm. Say as much as you can, say what you're seeing, communicate as much as you can to make sure that you have a proper scope. I mean, I know there's a time and place for keeping the defense on their toes, not letting them communicate, not letting them get properly set, just trying to, push something. There's going to be times where Kentucky does that. That's football. But overall, when you're talking about the bread and butter of what you can generally expect on, a first down maybe, I don't see any reason why you would not wait until at least that 15-second mark. So you're communicating with your quarterback, you're communicating, letting him say, like, here's what I'm seeing, what are you seeing, like, how can I execute this play the best I can? And then you kind of have to do that, not to get a little bit grim here, but especially after the season Kentucky had last year, 4-8, you need this season to be better. You need to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward on every single chance you get. So if I'm coaching that team, like I said, there's always going to be a time and a place for that, rapid fire offense, catch the defense off. And I know the defense is going to have the same amount of time to communicate as you will, but generally speaking, why not give yourself the best shot to see as much as you can possibly see before you snap that football?
Yeah. And we know Stoops at his core. He's a defensive guy. He's if it's 10-7 and it's a knockdown drag out, that's where he likes to be. We talked a few weeks ago, Cole, Bush Hamden might be the best fit philosophy wise because he likes to run the ball. He's had 1,000-yard rushers his whole time as an OC. So I think that, like you guys said, that lends itself to Kentucky, being 7, 8, 10 seconds on the clock in an organized way. Hopefully it's not 2 seconds left and we're trying to, oh God, timeout or snap it, and then who is going to be a turnover or penalty or something like that. But organized, deliberate, methodical, efficient as possible offense is the hope.
Mhm.
So we'll see. Hopefully that's the case. And like it's gonna be most of the matchups is gonna be the contrast of styles. Kentucky basketball likes to play fast. Tennessee's defensive team likes to try to slow it down. Same thing with Kentucky playing Ole Miss and Tennessee, who teams want to zip up and down the field, and Kentucky wants to slow it down and take the possessions out of it. It's whose style is going to win, who's going to impose whose will on whom, and that's kind of what we're going to see all year.
I mean, that's really every sport too. People
Mhm.
before before he retired, people would always comment on how Virginia basketball was so boring. We finished those games like 40-50, but that's how they played. They were intentionally trying to play that way. It wasn't they were just not good at scoring. I mean, in some cases they weren't, but generally speaking, they played a very slow game. And then you see Kentucky and Florida go head to head last year, both teams scoring over 100 points. They're playing a very fast pace. You even look at baseball. Some teams like to play small. They like to, not really go for those. Like, not that they're not trying to hit home runs, I guess, but home runs are not their priority. Lay down a bunt, get on base. Do that. Can you get a single? I'd rather you get 3 singles in a game than 1 home run and 3 strikeouts. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and then some teams have those. You see a lot of Tennessee too. When the year they won the Natty, they had a bunch of those power hitters who could just hit them so far over the wall. It's any sport you go to, there's going to be those different styles. And, the biggest thing is just really finding your identity as a team. Which style are we going to play? But also more importantly, which style are we actually good at playing? And, you think of the team as like a puzzle, but then you have to go and find the pieces that actually fit that puzzle. So which style is going to work best for this Kentucky team, and which style is going to make them in the best position to win as many football games as possible.
Absolutely. So good stuff, y'all. Do we dare venture into the viral stuff, y'all? We hinted at it.
Might have to. There wasn't a whole lot from the players today. I spoke to a couple today. There wasn't a ton from them, apart from did get a quote about some viral stuff.
Hey, that's wherever y'all want to go. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, what'd you get?
Well, do you want to set up what it was first?
Oh, I mean, you just can't even do it without chuckling. It was. I'm old here, obviously, but it reminds me of those. If you go YouTube, the Toyota commercials where they would, what a feeling! They would jump up and do the little tuck jump with the both legs behind them, and we have 2 players doing that, facing each other, holding hands, like at the altar. I mean, we like just said, "I do," almost. I now pronounce you, and then we jump, and we just make ourselves such an easy target for all the comedy from all the fans. Somebody jump in because it's just
So
it wasn't AI. As much as AI is a thing, that was not.
I got to speak with David Rayner today at practice. He actually did talk about it. He does know that that's a viral video. He has seen the reaction to it. Before that, he was talking about, growing into his role. And that's something that Brad White talked about a lot too, is how he's going to have to kind of step up into a new role. He's been playing in smaller roles. Before that, he had redshirted here at Kentucky, but he's going to be a guy they maybe lean on a bit more this year in the linebacker room. He said, quote, "I think you have to find a good balance of both for who you are. I think you need to be a vocal person. That side needs to come out of you, because if you're not being vocal, you're not being yourself. You're not being yourself to your teammates off the field, and it's hard for you to be a leader." And I think that they kind of go hand in hand, and talked about how you also have to kind of try to have some fun. You have to try to, enjoy yourself playing football, because it's something that, Jagger Burton talked about too. There's going to be failure in football, and it's more about how you can respond mentally to that. So he talked about, you have to be vocal, you have to be a leader, you have to be responsible, but you also have to try to have a little bit of fun. And, someone asked him, you saw that video of you going around from the photo shoot, what was the idea behind that? And his answer was, it was to have fun. It was just a little bit of fun, a little bit of some guys playing jokes. He said he saw what some people have been saying about it. He saw what KSR put out about it, but his answer was, next question, please. But it was something that he talked about. I think that, it's one of those things you really hate to see, because if Kentucky loses, the rival fan bases are going to be putting it out there. It's going to get clowned on. But at the end of the day, Rayner said that it was just a little bit of fun. It was just, these guys, they're going through camp, they're working hard, you're hitting the crap out of each other, you're sweating, you're getting exhausted and pushing yourself to be the best you can be. You got to have a little bit of fun sometimes. And, I've played football in high school, and some of those guys are some of the best friends I'll ever have in my life. We called each other brothers in the locker room. And, sometimes you gotta be a little dumb. You gotta have a little bit of fun with your friends and not worry too much about how you're going to be interpreted. But I do know Kentucky football, if any kind of play happens on Rayner's head, that is going all over social media.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, it's never a bad thing to be lighthearted and just have a moment where at the end of the day, it's never that serious, right? They want to post a video, they want to have a fun, part of their photo shoot. Big deal. I mean, it happened last year. I think it was Florida State football. There's a specific TikTok they posted, and I think it resurfaced every single time they lost. And it's going to become a meme. It's going to be posted for the whole entire season. We're probably going to be seeing it on our feeds for the next year or 2 years even. But it's always good for them to have fun and, let them be human, because at the end of the day, they just want to have fun like the rest of us. They're still in college. And, if they want to have a little I do moment at the altar, so be it. It might bite them in the butt later, when something happens and suddenly their whole feed is going to be blasted with them doing it and saying this is Kentucky football, but it's okay.
No, I mean, I think a big part of this whole thing too is the way Kentucky's coming into this season, the way a lot of fans are not expecting it to be very good, the way last year was 4-8. There's always going to be people who are going to rag on that. There's always going to be haters, but everyone was making fun of McCain, the basketball player at Duke, for doing his TikToks, and he started dropping 30 on him, and they're like, okay, maybe I'll shut up a little bit. Maybe I won't say anything about him doing his little TikToks. Yeah. There was jokes going around, like his teammates probably hate that he's doing them in the locker room, or if they don't, they probably didn't care that much. But some of his teammates are out here like, I hate that he's doing TikToks, but he's better than me at everything he does, so I kind of just have to let him do it. Juju Smith-Schuster dancing on the logos was something that was fun until they started losing, and then it was like, what are we doing here? So I think that a lot of it, if Kentucky was going into this season with the same trajectory as a team like, a Texas maybe that made it back to the college football playoffs, that was a real title contender, that has ambitions again this year, I don't think people would care that much. I think it'd just be like, oh, whatever. But you have the fact that you're coming off a 4-8 season that a lot of people, whether it's fair or not, are already kind of writing off this season before it's even started. And they're like, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? But it's kind of like Jenna said, these players are people too. And, Rayner was a part of that 4-8 season last year. He's going into this team trying to rebuild that. You can't it's something that always bothered me, they're people. They're young. They're going to have some fun. You can't expect people to do business all the time. And in a photo shoot, I don't want to be doing those little I do moments in practice, But if it's a little I do moment in a photo shoot, I really don't care. It's a photo shoot. It's not. I'm sure the photographers cared about how that went, but I don't really care how the photo shoot turns out. It doesn't benefit me in any way if that photo shoot is better or worse. So if they want to have a little bit of their fun in a photo shoot, so be it. Happy for them. Congratulations on the marriage. See where it goes.
So would you have done it at Madison Central, right?
Yes, Madison Central.
With, pep rally or something before y'all play Madison Southern, or preseason summer practice. Cole, you're a tight end. Are you and, the DN, would y'all do that just for the Madison Central social media or something like that, Facebook page? But
my sophomore year, when we won a regional title, maybe. The next 2 years were really bad. Absolutely not. No, I would not have.
And like y'all said, if Rainer comes out and gets 16 tackles and a scooping score,
We're gonna
it'll
shut
go
them
away
No one's
real.
gonna say anything. No one's saying
Say a
anything.
word, That's how it goes.
But he's gotta be real secure in his manhood. We'll say that. It is fun, but he's not worried about what things. Really wasn't bothered, or else he wouldn't even done it. Neither one of them. They were like, yeah, whatever. We can allow ourselves to be involved in this moment, knowing good and well that it was gonna go everywhere, and get the reaction that he got. So,
if anything, I respect it though. I want a guy on my football team who is confident in who he is, who doesn't really care what the people outside think of him that much, who's gonna, be able to, like he said in the quote about, being a leader, be able to be himself. And if who he is, the guy who likes to joke around with his friends in a photo shoot, then go be yourself. If you're playing good football, I don't care who you want, what you want to do in a photo shoot. So good for him, I guess. I'm glad that he feels comfortable joking with his friends in that way, even if it is going to be a viral moment. So
that's it.
Someone who wasn't joking though, Tyrese Maxey and his can opener.
Oh.
We'll have to talk about it. We're gonna have to talk about it. Goes live for about an hour, I believe, asking because he's not sure how to use a can opener. Millionaire in the NBA. How do we feel about it?
Tough watch. How are you? Your job is to be good with your hands, essentially, right? And not only are we not using a can opener, it's for an hour. We're not figuring out how to use the can opener. Like I was saying earlier, I'm left-handed. Can openers are hard for me, but you got to figure it out at some point.
Do they not make left-handed can openers?
I mean, I didn't have one. They probably do, to be fair. But, my family's not buying me a personal can opener. So, I figured out how to use it. But I'm just, how many ways can you do it wrong before you just have, there's no other option besides to figure it out kind of thing?
It's a valid question.
To get the circular blade around the little part, it was, and I mean, just like Rainer, I mean, it was tough to watch, but he allowed himself to be really vulnerable. I mean, he said all I ever did was work out. All I did was hoop, and then everybody was gone. The chef, my mom, there's nobody here. I'm trying to feed these dogs, and there's been some things I think probably for all of us that we're like, oh wow. I mean, maybe we can't think of it now, but at some point we're like, oh man, I can't believe I didn't know that, or but not purposely on IG and trying to get help on IG. That was tough. And then he flipped the can, and he was it's just the struggle was real. The struggle was real.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, I can understand in some ways, if you grew up and your mom always did it for you, you get to UK. I know for a fact they got chefs making them all their meals. Mm-hmm. I'm just confused. He said he's got to feed the dog. How is this moment the first time you had to use a can opener? You've been out of Kentucky for a while now. Was this just the first time you were ever home alone and needed to use one? I don't understand the scenario. Yeah. And also me personally, I'm just the kind of guy that I would have Googled it and not told a single soul. I would have Googled it, found out how, and then someone asked me, I'm like, yeah, I've known how to use a can opener for years. What are you talking about? I admit it. I'm not going live that I don't know how to use a can opener.
Especially, when he goes in with a knife and just starts trying to use it with a knife. The still image of him just stabbing the can. It's a great shot, but
live though.
Similar thing where it's just this is the first time you've ever been home alone.
Yeah.
How is this the first time we've had to come to this at 24 years old? That's the real question.
You know what though? It is somewhat similar to the Rainer situation though. And I think people are having good fun with it. It's very funny, but nobody's going to care that Tyrese Maxey doesn't know how to use the can opener when he's dropping 30 on the regular season.
Now if he doesn't, maybe people are going to bring it up. I don't know how, but there will be people.
One day.
There will be people, if he has a bad game, we'll find a way to connect it to the can opener, I'm sure.
You know, he couldn't let his ball player he couldn't get out of the can. He couldn't use the can opener, so he got stuck. I don't know. That was a bad example, but didn't know what I was going to go with there.
Maxey was wide open, unlike that can. Whatever. The announcers will be working on stuff.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. Joel Embiid will be such a big distraction, positive or negative, like he always is. Will he stay healthy? Will he be there? Will he? The whole saga that already happened with him. That might just overshadow their season again. And Maxey was balling out until he got hurt on a terrible team because Paul George is hurt and Embiid is hurt, and that'll probably override his can opener dilemma.
I'm sure.
Sorry, I'm a Boston Celtics fan, so any and all hatred towards the 76ers just keep firing. I think it's funny because, like you said, Embiid being out, this, that, and the other, you can have a season next year where Maxey still doesn't know how to use a can opener. McCain's making TikToks in the locker room, and everyone's still talking about Joel Embiid. So, and then they lose half their games. It's a great time to be a Sixers fan, I suppose.
Go ahead, Jenna.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm sure it's going to be one of those things Sports Center posts, a year ago today, we all found out he cannot use a can opener. It's going to be one of those things where it's just dead season. There's not a single sport on. What are we posting? Okay, a year ago today, an hour trying to use this can opener. We're bringing it up again. It up.
Yeah.
And I'm sure someone's going to ask him about it at, next press conference.
Yeah.
Have you been practicing? Like, maybe.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we can make fun, we can laugh. But I may be able to use a can opener while Tyrese Maxey can't. But he's dropping 40 on NBA teams, and I can't.
And he's a millionaire, so
yeah, he's a millionaire and he's dropping 40 on NBA teams. So I'm gonna just take my one win that I can use a can opener and ride with it.
Yes, you gonna eat that W like Jameis, So I might just might put this out on our little Believe in Kentucky poll because it just made me think, these UK related off-field, off-court moments. How do you rank them? Which one's more cringeworthy? However you want to say it. If we got Levis with his, coffee and all that and mayo, and now we got Rayner holding hands, and we got Maxey in the can opener. How are we ranking them? Which one's the most, or which one's the funniest? Your thoughts?
The thing with Levis for me, it's the fact that he then got a sponsorship by Mayo. I'm like, you just get how can you hate? Because you know what? He's getting paid for it now because he's sponsored by mayonnaise. Yeah. But that was definitely one of the things where I think that post came out right before my freshman year of college. And I think my mom pulled it up and was like, there's just no way. What are we there's no way this is your quarterback. And I was like, whatever works, I guess. That's up there though. To this day, I still see stuff about the Mayo saga. That's something that's going to stick with him forever.
Yeah, but what's so weird to me about it is, if I'm not mistaken, the Mayo saga was not even the first chapter, because everyone remembers the Mayo thing, but before the Mayo thing even happened, didn't he go viral for just grabbing a banana, not unpeeling it, just
he just bites bananas.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that's worse than the Mayo thing.
I feel like he did that at the Citrus Bowl too, with an orange. He didn't peel it and just bit it or something like that.
Well, Mayo, okay, you're experimenting with your coffee, but when have you why? Did someone tell you that's how you're supposed? Is it just for fun?
How do you come to that conclusion on your own? That's what you're saying. How do you even get there? Yeah.
How do you discover Mayo and coffee is good? What scenario are we in where Mayo ended up in your coffee and you're like, wait.
Yeah.
Is it super early and we thought it was our creamer and we're putting what happened?
Maybe you just didn't have any cream and you're like, what do I have that's vaguely cream related?
And you're like, there is milk in Mayo. I don't know.
I think it's eggs.
Eggs. Lots of eggs and
It's all relative.
Maybe he needed some, protein in his coffee.
Maybe he tried sour cream and it wasn't very good, so he tried mayonnaise. But I feel like if I live the rest of my life and never know a single other insane food, I don't even want to know normal food things about Will Levis anymore. I don't trust him. He's lost the benefit of the doubt to me that like if food is brought up and Will Levis is present, I want to leave. I don't want to know. It might be completely normal, but I don't want to know.
Yeah. Eating fruit whole is crazy. I don't know about that one.
He is rehabbing that shoulder. He'll have all season to just create or cook, literally cook. He'll be just coming up with all kind of stuff. So
don't think I want to know about those. Not gonna lie.
Don't think he'll be getting a Michelin star anytime soon.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure. Oh, since we're on food, look, it's summertime. This is real random, but do y'all have sweet tooths? Do you love sweets? And if so, because I'm a little bit late, but we had the whole Oreo Reese's collab. I know y'all saw it. Are y'all Oreo people? Are you Reese's people? You like both? You hate them both? What do you think about the combination coming out here in a couple weeks of the Oreo Reese's and the Reese's Oreos? Where y'all at on that?
Yeah, I mean, first, just God, can you tell it's the off season?
Yes, exactly.
We're just trying to get through these weeks to get, Jenna, obviously there'll be a time here on this show that we have a lot more substance to talk about.
I know this is exactly what I want to talk about. This is
I do like Reese's. Oreos are fine. I guess I think that's weird about me. I love to cook. I'm very passionate about cooking. If you know me for a while, you know that about me. I post the things I cook on my story all the time. Don't really like eating that much. I don't really get hungry very often, and I don't really like sweets that much. I'm fine with them, but I don't really crave sweets. I skip dessert almost every single meal I've ever had in my life. And I'm saying I don't like, that there's not sweets that are good, but I don't buy them. I don't really keep snacks in my apartment. I don't do any of that. So have not had those, might not try them, but I do like me some Reese's cups. Those are very good.
Personally, I don't eat chocolate at all. I never liked chocolate. Never will, probably. So wouldn't be able to have an opinion on either. Sweets wise, my underground favorite candy is sour Mike and Ike's. I'm a big Mike and Ike fan, but any sour candy really. But sour Mike and Ike's, I do in fact buy by the pound on Amazon. I will order 2 pounds of Mike and Ike's. Wow. Don't ask how long it takes me to get through them because it's concerning answer.
Mind your business, right? Mind your business.
A little too fast.
Lemon head supporter over here, so I do.
Yeah, lemon heads are good. Anything sour, really. I try not to eat too much sugar, but I end up doing it anyways because it's good. But dessert-wise, never been a big cake person or like cupcake. Once again, chocolate. Not liking chocolate limits 50% desserts.
Yeah.
Man, Vinny shot that out there thinking he was in good company. Felt comfortable.
I'm like, I've never tried Oreos or Reese's, so I'm like,
never tried them.
Oh my God!
He threw that out there. It looked good coming off the hand, but missed the backboard and everything.
maybe next podcast I'll do a live taste test of the collab.
There we go.
I'll probably hate it, but at least I'll try it. Right, 2 for 1.
Yeah, I think early September they're coming out with it. But I like sweets enough for all of y'all. It sounds like so. I'm really a big Oreos guy. I'm not a huge peanut butter guy, peanut butter pie, peanut butter milkshake, stuff like that. I do like occasional Reese's, but the collaboration. I'm a little unsure about the two of those things combined, but like the cookies and cream, ice cream, or milkshakes, or I'm team Oreos all day. But I'm just maybe they'll surprise me with this collab, and it'll But
cookies and cream and peanut butter seem off to me.
Yeah,
not that I have any experience with it, but something about it, the vibe seems wrong. I don't know, something.
This one might be offensive to some people, but it's kind of like mint and chocolate to me. Those are just not flavors that I want together.
I can do that. Now the
I don't
mint
like
Oreos, mint Oreos are good. I like them. Those little thin mint Oreos and the
I will say
the lemon Oreos are good. And now they went crazy. They went like wild and made like they went like too far to me on some of them, and I wasn't getting with all the combinations they were. But the lemon ones,
that wasn't a plain Oreo.
they went through a stretch where they were just off the wall with everything.
I do remember that because they just started
like Peeps Oreos once.
There were what?
Peeps Oreos, like the Easter candy.
Yes. I do remember those.
That's blasphemous to Oreos, man.
Whatever the opposite of sign me up is, do that to me for that. Cross me off the list for the Peeps Oreos. No, I do like peanut butter.
Wild.
I do like me some peanut butter. I don't keep very many snacks in my apartment, but I do keep, some saltine crackers and peanut butter from time to time. I will say always a crunchy peanut butter guy. Do not give me smooth peanut butter.
Oh my
crunchy peanut butter. That's where we're at.
So I don't even like peanut butter, but I know that's wrong.
What do you like? What do you like?
What about Sour Patch Kids?
I do, of course.
Okay.
Look, there's something peanut butter. It's the smell. Never been able to get over the smell. I have a very strong nose, so I just too overstimulating for me. But even though I've had peanut butter like twice in my life, I still know crunchy peanut butter is like the wrong answer.
It's just textured peanut butter. What are we talking about?
Like I feel like peanut butter, like butter. Would you want textured like butter? No.
Garlic butter, yeah, I do. I do get garlic butter often.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, like just plain butter, like plain peanut butter. All it is
peanut butter. The same way you use butter.
I don't know. It seems off. I don't want to like chew peanut butter. Like that's weird.
That's it. It is. And when you try to make a peanut butter and jelly, it just tears your bread out of pieces, because it rips the bread because all the crunch is in there. And I mean, I can do it, but I prefer the creamy.
I eat peanut butter crackers. I haven't had a peanut butter and jelly since I was probably like 7 years old.
And the Uncrustables I'll eat Uncrustable here and there. They're good, man. Good. And it takes all the ends off all the edges that the kids hate. I mean, you don't have to worry about it. It's already.
Well, I like the edges of my bread. I eat oat nut bread anyway, so it's got like some nuts in it as well. Like it's organic. God, I sound so pretentious right now.
Yeah,
just like me some oat nut.
I'm not in that bread tax bracket. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not either. I'm a journalist.
Cole's out here just a chef. He cooks and doesn't even eat.
I do
all
cook.
That kind of stuff.
He does cook. He posts a lot, and half the time I'm like, man, I'm over here eating Taco Bell. And Cole got this steak dinner that he made for himself, and I'm here eating a burrito. Like,
yeah, the other day I just felt like having a little fancy night. I made myself some nice mint steak with a sherry shallot reduction over top of it. I made some baked couscous or baked zucchini to go with it. Had a side salad and poured myself a glass of wine. Had a fancy night. Made me some piccata a little bit ago. I love cooking all kinds of things, different cultures, different cuisines, things I never cooked before. It's a real passion of mine.
Yeah, it's just a Bobby Flay up in here. We didn't even know it.
Half those words, flew right away. Not gonna lie.
Food Network
like
star.
A good scrambled egg on a, that's a good day for me. If I get some scrambled eggs up in there, yeah, that's some good cooking for me.
I started doing my prep for dinner right before we started this show. So I've got a tray of zucchini sitting on my counter right now, ready to go in the oven whenever we wrap up here. But I'm gonna make just a pretty basic thing, not just this baked chicken dish with a side of baked zucchini and some couscous. But don't worry, Vinny. I'll send you some of my chef creations I've made.
Yeah, man, that's impressive. That's impressive, man. We got Food Network star up in here.
Didn't even know. Make a side quest. You should just go on Chopped.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. I love some Chopped. Me and my wife watch it.
More of a master chef kind of guy, but
Okay.
I'm a beat Bobby Flay kind of girl.
I like that too.
My parents, I grew up watching like Hell's Kitchen, Kitchen Nightmares, all those Gordon Ramsay shows. So love me some Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah. So real quick, Jenna, just a scouting report on your soccer. Were you a scorer, defensive player, physical? Were you the one out there just roughing people up? What was your game like on the pitch?
So I was a left.
Collegiate offers right there.
Okay. I was a left back, so I played defense. I was left-footed, which benefited me a lot. But I was a very big ram into people kind of player.
Physical.
I had like slight anger issues in high school, as one does. And the answer is to play soccer, because then you can push people and you don't get in trouble for it, right? Like, it's allowed to an extent, you know.
You went right up to the line, didn't you? Right to the line.
I played on that line sometimes. Sometimes my coach, she didn't like it at all. She was like,
I mean, Regina George used lacrosse. Why can't you use soccer, right?
Right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I
Crazy
could have walked on D3. Wasn't going to do that. You know, the school was smaller than my high school, and that seemed like my worst nightmare because I didn't like high school. And a school that small, it's like, ooh. It was also in the swamp of Louisiana. Not an ideal place that I wanted to live. And I also had really bad knees because I'm knock-kneed. So I was going to have to do PT and learn how to rerun to where my knees weren't knocked, so I would stop spraining my MCL. And that all just didn't seem like something I wanted to do. I was like, I know I want to do sports journalism, and I fear schools that small do not be having sports journalism. So
yeah.
But, you know, always love soccer. Will always have a very fond place in my heart for it. But unfortunately, the U.S. World Cup is out of the picture for me now. As if it was ever in it, but, you know.
You had an outlet for your rage for some years, and so that's good. There you go. Well, we enjoyed having you on here to talk some football, to talk some fall camp, to talk some Rainer and some Maxey and some Levis and some Cole is a Michelin star chef and we didn't know it, all that. So good stuff in this episode. And like Cole said, we'll get you back on here once the season starts.
God, I can't wait for actual football to talk about again.
Tell everybody.
It's like that time of year where you're just grasping at straws. Like, I'm over here watching SEC Network, and it's like 2019 LSU versus Mississippi State. I'm like, we're watching it. Don't like.
Was that the Pirate?
I don't even.
Pirate Mississippi State air raid?
Yeah, should have been. Yeah,
but you know, it's the most random game ever, and I'm just like watching it. Alabama, Oklahoma, would not watch that game for obvious reasons.
Yeah, right. Got you.
That had to pass on, or anything involving A&M, hard pass. But
watching the SEC Netflix docu series they put out.
That's really good.
It was said Kentucky's going to be in it a few episodes in. That's still alleged at this point in time.
I'm pretty sure every single clip I've seen of Kentucky is when a player's having like a breakthrough game, like best game of his life, and then they show Kentucky on the screen. I'm like, well,
well, when you go 4-8, you're not going to have a lot of shining moments in the doc.
Episode 1 was about South Carolina, and it showed scenes of the Old Dominion game, and then it like is building up to the LSU game, and they just kind of like throw in there, they just demolished Kentucky.
That's kind of every single episode. It's just they throw up the Kentucky score as they're going through the timeline. You're just like,
yeah. And I think towards the end it goes. I think I got one episode left. I'm at the Egg Bowl episode and the A&M Texas episode. I think there's like Kentucky Louisville was the finale. For definitely Longhorn reasons. That was definitely a good one for you. But there's a lot of Shane Beamer, and and since Kentucky's not beating him lately, it just that much more irritating to watch him, be featured prominently in the episode. But it's fun. It's summertime, and it's SEC
you grasp
football.
For straws.
Yeah.
I'm over here watching ESPN Ocho, like Corgi Racing. The new ones. What are some of the new ones? They got some underwater chess, I've heard. Might just have to watch. I don't know. Like, sometimes I'm like, where do you get the announcers for this?
Oh yeah.
I want to do it. I want to be an announcer for underwater chess.
Who is qualified to be an underwater? Like, who?
Anybody.
I guess.
In a shocking play.
Can you talk and speak complete sentences?
I don't like. English? Is there like upsets? Like, I don't know what I don't know what's happening. But...
Are the rules different? Like, what happens if your piece like floats away? Like, what if your piece?
I'm like, is it like like how is it underwater? I don't know. I might write an article about it.
You should.
Right. Tell everybody where they can find your work. Speaking of, plug your work.
Yeah, all my work's on KYKernel.com. Pretty much all of it. Most of it is reposted on my Twitter as well. I'm very active on my Twitter. Pretty much always on there posting stuff. All my articles are on kykernel.com.
What's your Twitter?
And what you
I'm
got?
recording.
Yes.
So
What you got going at the Cat's Paws, Cole, before we get out of here?
A whole lot of, I'll have some stories coming out about the interviews we did this afternoon. I put one out today. We'll have some more coming out, some stuff about David Rayner, what he said. Terry and Nichols talked today, a couple other players like that. So I'll have some stories coming out, and then we'll have some more media on Saturday. We're not going to have anything Thursday this week, so we're going to have to try to make that, try to work on getting some stuff out there until Saturday. We can get some more stuff going, but just kind of weathering this storm, getting stuff ready for, basketball yearbook, getting stories ready for the what month is it? August edition of the Cat's Paws while we get closer and closer to the season and playing some games.
maybe you can put up a can opener article.
Maybe I can.
Maybe.
Step-by-step photo gallery.
Just ranking Kentucky media moments. And but it's not like the good media moments. It's the ones that people talk about for a little too long.
It would be good. I should call up a bunch of former players and get them to send me a video, and then I can rank Kentucky players by their ability to use a can opener and just put Maxey dead last. It'd be great. It'd be a great
just put every single average human and then Maxey.
Yeah. I'm just I get them all send me, and I'm over here good technique on the twist of the can opener by this player here. This
play-by-play analysis of can opening.
I'll rank them. I would.
I would read. If you did
it.
a play-by-play analysis of someone using a can opener, I would read. That's Pulitzer Prize, perhaps.
That's the hard-hitting journalism I got hired.
That's right. That's it. So good stuff, and this will just carry us right on into actual games. We got.
God, I hope so.
There's the workload for the next 2 weeks. So, Jenna Lifshen, we appreciate you joining us. Check her out at KY Kernel. Cole Park, appreciate you at the Cat's Paws. This will be out here shortly on all the platforms. Believe in Kentucky. Rate, review, subscribe, give us 5 stars, tell your friends, retweet, all that good stuff. We definitely appreciate it. So for Jenna and Cole, my name is Vinny Hardy. This has been another episode of Believe in Kentucky. Go Cats. Games are coming soon. We'll see everybody next week.